on that right knee.
Jared Chinoy wins the opening faceoff of the third quarter for Richmond, so a good start for the Spiders. This is a team, again, on an 8-game win streak. They pushed Duke to double overtime. They beat Georgetown. They had a 6-1 lead on Cornell, led Cornell by 3 in the fourth quarter. They've played Maryland. They've won at Virginia. Program that's only been around since 2014. A strong case that this team is the best that Richmond has had. Merklinger was the top midfielder in the A-10. Spins it back to O'Neal at X. He's the quarterback of the offense and Offensive Player of the Year in the conference. Creo with one of the 2 goals for Richmond. He scored in 7 straight. Picked up by Salucci, the freshman.
Ball movement looks better. Their spacing is wider also.
Merklinger working on Prohaska. Salucci coming over to help. Olsen with 15, fires and scores. The Calgary, Alberta native pulls Richmond to within 2.
Spider fans erupt. Obvious adjustments, wider spreads. And what does that mean? Well, when Carolina doubles on the far wing, it's a long way to recover to the near side. And Lucas Olsen's got all sorts of real estate. He gets to dodge the approach. And in that case, the approach was so late, he just pulls up. And the senior out of Calgary bags that goal from about 10 yards. Much better looking possession for the Spiders.
Olsen, a second team all-conference selection. Wambach and Chinoy do battle. And scooped up by the speedy Parker Hoffman. And did he step out of bounds? He did. Richmond ball. They got a chance here. Here's Stoll to Little John. Doorstep dunk. Along come the Spiders. It's a 1-goal game.
Two things stand out here. Hustle. Right here, they get the turnover and then restart ready. Stoll stays on the field. He's one of Tommy Stoll, 40 in red, the captain, is one of my favorite players in the entire country. He comes out of piles with the lacrosse ball. He makes great decisions. Little John bails him out and makes a really insaneful, skillful catch and beats Gio from point-blank range. Back-to-back goals out of halftime. Here come the Spiders.
Yeah, this game for North Carolina may start to feel eerily reminiscent of the Notre Dame game back on the 19th of April. Carolina had a 4-1 lead going into the second half. Next thing you know, it's a 12-6 Irish win.
Look at the compete level now. It's ratcheted up for both teams.
We talked to Zach Vigue, the Richmond goalie. He said after the Cornell game, this one is on the empty net, and it's going to go to Richmond. Farrell closest to the ball, where and when it went out. Zach Vigue telling us that being up 6-1 on Richmond and then watching, or on Cornell, and watching how Cornell then finished its season, that gave this team confidence that they can go not only play with anybody, they can go beat anybody. They felt they had that Cornell game up 11-8 at one point in the fourth quarter. A chance to get even here.
The balancing for these athletes. This is an elimination game. There is no tomorrow. And that can lead to stress and tension and hesitancy. And you got to put that aside and just put the pedal to the metal.
Outpaw casts a big shadow. 6'5" from Darien, Connecticut. O'Neal looking to get on the board. Defended by Aschheim.
Don't worry about outcomes. Worry about effort.
Packard, two-way midi. Skip pass to the wing. Picard tries to track it down. No flag. Now somebody lost a glove. Feed inside, Littlejohn! A hat trick for Lucas Littlejohn and a brand new ball game. Richmond, a 3-0 spurt to open the second half.
We're going to have to see this again. 88 for Carolina. Chase Salucci loses his glove on the ground ball. Makes a diving play. His glove comes off and squirts up top. Look at the Carolina defense. They're distracted by it. And somehow they lose the man inside. They've done a wonderful job thus far covering the crease. And Lucas Littlejohn, there's no custody on that play.
Well, you got to remember, Quint, you lose a glove, you can't play without equipment. That's a penalty. And Joe Bresci, sensing the Spider avalanche, calls a timeout. 3 goals in less than 2 minutes. We're back to where we started.
Lucas Olson from about 10 yards, and then off the turnover, great pass by Tommy Stoll down low to Lucas Littlejohn. And Littlejohn bags his 3rd goal of the game. It's 3 goals in the first 3 minutes of this 3rd quarter. It's a 4-goal run for the Spiders after trailing 5-1. And whatever Dan Chamati said at halftime has worked to perfection.
North Carolina back in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2021. Dan Chamati's Richmond Spiders seeking their first NCAA tournament win in program history. They launched lacrosse in 2014, made the NCAA tournament in their first season. They've made the tournament 6 times. Are going to get a loose ball hold on UNC. And Richmond, over the last few years, they've had some close calls. They pushed Duke to within a goal in 2019. They had Penn dead to rights a few years ago, had a lead in the final minute. Penn ties it and then wins in overtime over at Franklin Field in Philly. Today, Carolina had a 4-0 lead. Richmond, 4 unanswered, 3 in the second half.
Richmond's legacy tied to this game. They want to be the group that wins that first playoff game.
Sheridan, kick save. Gianfrancaro clamps down. And now here comes UNC. Went for a lot of the Richmond seniors. Their first game came against UNC on this field. A loss to Carolina in 2022.
This is an important possession for North Carolina. This is really their first possession of the 3rd quarter.
UNC only has 1 goal since the 10-minute mark of the 2nd quarter. English spin cycle. Duffy double teamed. Able to hang on. Gets away from Stoll. Duffy to Matten. Carolina catches its breath. Petramala loses Pilling. Gets to his left hand. Vignew, the save. And Stoll had the rebound before dumping it back to Vignew.
Dom Petramala, an underrated Dodger and a lethal shooter sweeping across the top of the formation.
Richmond pedaling downhill in the second half. Was it stage fright, nerves early on for Richmond?
You'd have to ask him yourself, Anish, but we see that happening. You know, there's a lot involved when you win your AQ. There's this emotional outburst. There's a celebration. Hey, we're league champs. Well, the reality is you got to step up a level in competition and go on the road to continue to give life to your season.
The 6'5" Alpaw. 11 goals on the season. Littlejohn, 27 in red, has 3 today.
Just see it in their footwork and their stick work.
Merklinger. He loves that roll back. Instead, he'll play it up top. Picard. Shot clock inside of 10. Crease feed, intercepted O'Berry. A Harvard transfer who's become UNC's top shorty. Nothing easy for Carolina in this second half.
It's a really solid ground ball play by James Matton, 7 in white, who comes across the midfield line. He realized he could because Koopman, the long stick midi, was already over the line.
Richmond has won 8 in a row. North Carolina last played a little more than a week ago in Charlotte. Fell to Duke in the ACC tournament semifinal. Duffy against Hunter Smith. Top side, missed the cage. Official looking for help. We got a flag down on the far side.
Coach, he was shooting. Red 6, unnecessary. 1 minute, reset to 60.
That is Hunter Smith, co-defensive player of the year in the A-10 along with St. Joe's Levi Birch.
Crease slide, high and late. Should have been against 91.
Yeah, that's
not
Braden
6.
Penafeather Stevenson.
And they have the right guy in the penalty box. Smith is still on the field. If you're defending this Carolina extra man group, 77 in white on the near side, the lefty Dom Petramala is your primary focus.
3 man-up goals on the season. Penafeather Stevenson in the box. Carolina on the season, 41% with the extra man. Duffy to English. Back to Duffy. Now Suchek, the freshman. Duffy to Reedy. Petramala drops it in off the beautiful touch pass.
Insane execution. They're working the right-handed side. Skip, double skip, tic-tac-toe. They just slice and dice this defense with precision passing. Doesn't get any easier for Dom Petramala.
10th assist of the season for Reedy, who's been a weapon on the extra man as an assist man. That goal ending a scoring drought of 10-plus minutes. Wambach wins the faceoff. Carolina will try to play make it, take it. Carolina has to get it across midfield before that shot clock hits 60. Gianfrancaro out of the cage. This is going to be close. He gets across. He's still going. Gianfrancaro all the way. Save Vicu. And now an empty net. Here comes Richmond with the counter. Gianfrancaro chugging back across the midfield line. Off the stick of Littlejohn. Salucci picks it up. Carolina catches it, catches a break. Gianfrancaro catches his breath.
The fans loving the chaos. Vigu made an outstanding save on Gianfrancaro. Michael Gio has a burst of speed.
Is that on your bingo card?
He's a big-time athlete. Okay.
Q.
You'll see another goalie like that Anderson Moore tonight at Georgetown. These guys are great lacrosse players who just happen to be goalies.
You played goalie. Gianfrancaro running back downfield with a live ball. What's going through his head?
Just try to get back in the crease as fast as possible. The hard part is you're running back in these, but you got to look over your shoulder to keep your eye on the ball. So it's like impossible to run fast.
Duffy. Levy fires offline.
Zone defense for Richmond. Levy left in front.
How does Carolina attack the zone?
Paul Richards told us that he's going to mix and match zone and man. You got to attack seams of the zone defense. Someone's got to press a seam and draw two. Kick it, then kick the ball to the adjacent.
Duffy gets through the middle and scores. A hat trick for Owen Duffy.
Feels like the tempo of this game is picked up. Here's Gio running down the middle of the field. Look at his speed, two-handed cradle, parting of the C right there. He gets through, and a great save by Vigyu down low. I mean, that ball was heading to the corner. Now Gio's got to get back in the goal. He does. Richmond goes zone, and Duffy, what he does well there is he catches it and moves his feet. It's as if he kind of turns the corner against the short stick who's positioned in the middle of that zone defense, and Carolina capitalizes. Duffy's had a monster game.
He's had a hand in 5 of UNC's 7. Chinoy and Wambach tied up. Richmond had it for a moment. Hoffman gets mauled.
Wow, that's playoff lacrosse right there. That's playoff lacrosse, Anish. And this tempo and intensity has ratcheted up noticeably since halftime.
The UFC 315 tonight at the Bell Center in Montreal. The prelims begin at 8 Eastern on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Main card at 10 Eastern on pay-per-view. Buy it at espnplus.com/PPV. Here is Joe Sheridan. He's their top Dodger. Fires on the run. Merklinger has the backup. Sheridan without a goal today. He scored in 9 straight. 3 tallies in the A-10 championship against High Point. Merklinger defended by Hagerup. A quiet game for him until now.
He is the energy guy, and his bread and butter is the rollback. He can play attack, he can play midfield, and being two-handed, ambidextrous, gives him the ability to go in both directions. He rolls back left-handed and somehow doesn't get blown up. Oh, watch this double team. Watch him elude this double team right there at the last second, free up his stick. And he beats Gio to the near post. A perfect shot. Gio's thinking stick side high or stick side low. He edges off the post. And Merklinger, Mr. Energy for this team. He's the barometer player. When they're playing well, his name's all over the score sheet.
A senior and head coach Dan Shamati says, we go as he goes. Hoffman lightning quick. All the way, fires and scores. Parker Hoffman, goal number 6 on the season, and the answer comes in an eye blink.
Former Fogo in high school, but because of his speed and his ability on ground balls, Joe Bresci has utilized him from the wing. And look at the burst. I mean, he is super fast, and he has had an impact now. You talk about his goal totals. This is a Carolina team that has not scored much in transition with their short stick defensive middies going from D to O, but they can sting you off the face-off. And every time Richmond makes a statement in this game, there's Carolina fighting back.
Parker Hoffman played his high school ball at Boys Latin. Is that still your haberdasher?
I moved on to the Garrison Forest School.
Okay.
We ran into Boys Latin former head coach Bob Shriver.
A legendary Bob Shriver.
Was talking about an attack unit that he coached once. Pat Spencer, Matt Brandow, Logan Wisnauskas. And they couldn't win the title.
Incredible.
With that attack. High school.
Yeah.
That's a high school attack.
A couple of Tewaaraton winners. Here comes Brevin Wilson. Now Petramala. 2 goals today, feeding inside. Reedy snuffed out by Vigu. 9 saves for Zach Vigu. Now Richmond, second nationally in clearing against this ferocious Carolina Ride. Packard hits the turbo, fires on the run. 1 goal game in Chapel Hill.
Little Guns N' Roses patience by the goaltender. Watch how he waits this out and manages to hold his line. We talked to Zach this week, and he says he likes to play on that deep line, and that comes to his benefit. Packard capitalizing. Barton, 24 and white, got really aggressive on the ride and tried for the double team and the turnover creation in front of the Richmond bench. And Packard is a great athlete, would have none of it, and showed his speed.
Packard was an offensive midfielder last year, played on the second midfield, scored 7 goals. This year, they needed him to play 2 ways, and he's been that guy. Chinoy out of the scramble. Jared Chinoy, a senior. His first career game as a freshman came against North Carolina on this field, was 8 for 22, but he has turned into a pretty good one for Dan Shamati.
And the bench, Richmond bench, really liked that face-off win. It shows, Chinoy, things haven't gone his way in the first half against Wambach, but so what? Again, we move on.
UNC had won 6 of the previous 7 face-offs. Packard stings the top shelf. We're tied at 8. Charlie Packard, 1 goal all season, 2 in the last, 30 seconds?
Sophomore from Hingham, Mass. Has the Spider fans on their feet. A split right to left. Whoop. Strong plant foot. Little hesitation move. Does it again right to left and nails the corner. Again, this guy played defensive midfield for most of the season. He's good enough and skilled enough to play at both ends. But the energy is the question mark for a coach. I don't want to burn him out. So they let him play some offensive midfield last week against High Point in the league championship game. He had a goal. That hot streak continues.
Officially 2 goals in 39 seconds. DeCenzo taking the face-off for Richmond. And a possession for Carolina. 3:01 to go, third quarter. UNC led 4-0. Richmond pulled even at 5-5. Carolina scored 3 of the next 4. And now the Spiders have pulled even at 8 apiece. Richmond has never led. English absorbs the hit. Duffy draws the slide back to English. Harshberger gets inside, shoots low. Vigu turns it away. Rebound, Suchek, fresh 60 for Carolina. Duffy feeding inside. 1 more to Reedy. 9-8 UNC coming up with an answer every time Richmond starts to make a run.
Reedy from English from Duffy. Owen Duffy's ability to attack the defense at all different spots, whether it's behind the net from the wing or up top, and he draws the double team. They kick it to Ty English, the passer, the midi. You'll see 23 catch this at goal line extended. Whoop, little quick stick inside. That is gorgeous, and they capitalize on the Richmond double team of Duffy. So Duffy draws the crowd. He's the distractor. He creates, and the others, Reedy, doing a nice job with the finish.
Stoll off the wings, the senior captain.
And he's that last goal. That's a classic hockey assist for a guy like Duffy. Shows up nowhere in the stat sheet. If you get some advanced analytics, occasionally you can get access to that. The teams track it, but doubles drawn, and hockey assist. Huge offensive stats.
Olsen, Creo, and now Sheridan, the midfield for Richmond. Olsen passed up on the step down. Aiden O'Neill has been quiet today. Church Mouse quiet. Richmond is leading scorer, 5 in red. Creo matched by Salucci. Impressive freshman campaign for 88 in white. Carolina lost its best defender, Peter Toman, before the season started. And this group under Dave Petromala's tutelage has been a strong unit. That shot low. Gianfrancaro the save. Salucci, Prohashka, and Ashheim. For most of the season, this has been a top 10 scoring defense.
They lost Peter Toman in the preseason to a knee injury.
There's Duffy. We haven't seen that kind of burst from Duffy in a few weeks.
Shot clock, game clock right now is what they're trying to figure out. Carolina will try to end this quarter with a goal or possession.
Duffy's been the maestro. Duffy, top side, missed the cage. Richmond to the backup. Spiders with a chance to tie. 13 seconds, third quarter. Farrell. Merklinger puts one on cage.
Wow.
Scores! Merklinger gives the crowd a little something to get excited for. The Richmond contingent. And we're tied at 9 with 2.6.
This is a disaster if you're Michael Gianfrancaro in the goal. You let this ball play you, and you step laterally, not at the ball. You've got to go attack this ball and scoop it up like a shortstop would scoop up a grounder. You've got to move towards that ball, attack it, and if it does take a big hop, it's going to hop up and hit you in the chest or the face mask. He let that ball play himself. And Merklinger scores from what, 25 yards?
Outside of the restraining area, or outside of the restraining line, in the restraining area. Tommy Stoll taking this face off. The long pole